Familia, muy buenas noches a todos ustedes. Espero que todos estén de maravilla. Estamos muy contentos el día de hoy por esta plática tan especial que vamos a tener. Y bueno, les quiero dar la bienvenida a todos ustedes en este día martes 25 de noviembre, estos martes que para nosotros se han vuelto martes muy especiales en términos de lo que hacemos y en términos de procurar información valiosa. Y hoy sin duda tenemos un invitado muy especial. Hoy nos sentimos muy honrados porque en estos martes, martes de salud, en donde justamente lo que procuramos es compartir y educar alrededor de temas importantes, de temas de interés de muchas personas, y lo hacemos a través de especialistas de la salud. Antes de comenzar, quiero saludar aquí a las personas que nos acompañan. Quiero ver de dónde nos están acompañando algunos de ustedes, si me ayudan aquí en el chat para saber de dónde nos están acompañando en esta noche, sin quitar, por supuesto, mucho tiempo. Hay gente de Colombia, mi Colombia querido, Querétaro, Morelia, por supuesto, Queretarito querido, San Luis Potosí, de Ciudad de México, perfecto, de Ciudad de México, ok, de Bloomfield, o sea, internacionales, Culiacán también, TJ, Tijuana. Bueno, de todas partes nos da muchísimo gusto y créanme que hoy se van a llevar un gran sabor de boca con toda la información que van a estar escuchando. Me quiero presentar antes que otra cosa suceda. Mi nombre es Carlos Osaya, para aquellas personas que no me conocen, y tengo el gusto, el honor, el privilegio de ser director regional para Latinoamérica de esta increíble compañía Partner Co. Y hoy, como lo decía, en estos martes, una comunidad que hemos venido fortaleciendo, una comunidad que tiene como objetivo seguir educando y generando conciencia en temas de salud. Usualmente invitamos a especialistas de la salud, pero como lo decía, hoy tenemos un invitado muy especial, a un gran ser humano a quien tuve la oportunidad también de conocer en el pasado septiembre en Dallas, en un evento impresionante en el PXP, y que recientemente se sumó precisamente a las filas de PartnerCo. Él es el creador, el que seguirá innovando y el que seguirá buscando que nuestros productos se mantengan en el estándar de la máxima calidad. Él es precisamente el director ejecutivo de productos, el director de asuntos científicos de PartnerCo, que tiene además un doctorado en ciencias biomédicas, un currículum impresionante, y que hoy está encargado precisamente de esto, de que mantengamos innovación, de que mantengamos productos en los que ustedes puedan seguir confiando y que la gente pueda estar viviendo transformaciones. Hoy tenemos una plática sumamente especial, así que sin más preámbulo, y ahora que ya se han venido sumando más personas, le voy a dar la bienvenida para honrar a todos los que han estado aquí puntuales y que podamos comenzar. Así que démosle la bienvenida al doctor Joshua Plant, mi querido. Hey, Dr. Josh, how are you? Welcome, and thank you very much for being here. I think you're muted.
I'm doing well, Carlos. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you now. Y
Wonderful.
para todos los que nos acompañan, tenemos traducción simultánea en la parte inferior de su pantalla. Solo tienen que seleccionar el icono de interpretación y escoger español. I was just telling them that they can actually choose to listen you in Spanish because we have simultaneous translation. So welcome and thank you very much for taking the time and sharing tonight with the Latino family, Dr. Josh.
Uh, I'm looking forward to it. I think this is my first call with you guys, and so this is super exciting. I'll spend a little bit kind of introducing myself, but I'm more excited to talk about that which is interesting, and that's not me. These are the great products, so looking forward to it. So, my name is Dr. Plant. That is my real name. Hopefully it translated as plant. Yeah, so I've spent my whole life, believe it or not, studying the natural world. Felt fitting since my last name was Plant. And my research has started at a fairly young age. I was actually the town beekeeper. So grew up in a small town, and when I was in fifth grade, I was actually the beekeeper for the town. So whenever there was a wild swarm of bees, the principal would come and pull me out of class, and you know, I like to imagine myself as the superhero saving the town from the wild swarm of bees. And so it was always fun. I was always intrigued about the potential nature has to offer, and A big part of that is when I was about 12 years old, I was reading a textbook. And I came across a story in a textbook of a scientist who discovered what is the most widely used chemotherapy drug. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives have been saved based upon this drug that he discovered. And what was so interesting about this is this drug wasn't synthesized in a lab. He discovered this drug by looking in different plant extracts. And this drug called paclitaxel or Taxol is isolated out of the bark of the California yew tree. Now, that's actually a relatively common tree. And when I read that when I was about 12 years old, I imagined uh, a mother who had just been recently diagnosed with breast cancer. And she was driving home from the hospital and she pulled over in a park, contemplating how she was going to tell her husband and children that she had just a short time to live. And when she was sitting in the shade of the tree, thinking that that tree had nothing more than shade to offer her, um, when in actuality, sitting in the shade of the very tree that contained the solution to her problem. And no matter how long she sat there, it would never have solved her problem. And I thought, just how often are the solutions to the greatest health challenges we have literally within arm's reach of us? And so that story just captivated me, and it realized that nature has incredible potential at helping to heal us, but it really just requires science to unlock that potential. And so when we look at the the Partner Co, what really brought me to Partner Co is it's the exact vision that I have, that it requires a partnership of nature and science to unlock that true potential. Taking me back to that childhood vision that I had years ago. And so in this scenario, I think my science career, I was able to get a degree in biology and chemistry. And during my undergraduate, I was actually able to make a few key discoveries. And I was selected to go present this research in Washington, D.C. with 15,000, 10,000 other scientists. And it was very nerve-wracking. I'm actually a first generation college student. So here I am presenting in front of 15,000 scientists from across the globe. And I came back from that trip thinking I had failed, um, only to realize I was highlighted in Science magazine as uh, best student research. And what that did is that opened the door to where I was then selected to go one of 12 uh, NIH fellows. They select about 12 uh, people a year, which believe to be the up and coming scientists of the next generation. I was selected to be one of the 12 to go study a couple years at the National Institutes of Health. And so uh, moved the family to Washington, D.C., was working in an incredible lab, and I thought I had made it as a scientist. And yeah, I did. I was doing incredible work researching breast cancer. And it was a Friday afternoon, and I got a call from Harvard University asking me to come and study there. And that was a little nerve-wracking, right? It's the most competitive program in the world. They only admit about 60 into that program. But my wife and I, we decided to go for it. And I was able to graduate first in my class. I actually had two Nobel laureates that I worked under. I think I'm one of the only people that have ever had two Nobel laureates as the advisors. And so once I graduated, I had the opportunity to kind of do anything. I had numerous job offers in some of the biggest companies in the world, incredibly large salaries. Um, but I kind of kept coming back to that vision I had as a child of realizing that if I'm really wanting to make an impact in the world, I don't need to necessarily go spend my life in a lab trying to find a cure for a disease that could have been prevented based upon lifestyle choices. That I should be utilizing my life to identify the best that nature has to offer and to bring that to people. And that led me eventually to Partner Co. I've been in the industry for about 13 years. I've formulated products that have generated, I think last it added up to about $10 billion in revenue. Have formulated some of the biggest brands, not just in network marketing, but in the supplement space as a whole, working with great celebrities and athletes and helping them create products for themselves that they've taken to market. And I came to Partner Code with this simple vision of not only aligning science and nature to bring out the best products, to make sure that they're maintaining the incredible quality that has been set, but really realizing that the greatest opportunity to make an impact in the world isn't going to come from my voice. It's going to come from hundreds of thousands of people collectively coming together and sharing the powerful message that nature holds solutions. And I am enjoying educating those hundreds of thousands of people to create products for themselves that can help them change their lives, to power that change that is so needed in the world today, and to have hundreds of thousands of advocates. It is truly a grassroots opportunity that I don't want to lead, simply want to be a part of. And so thanks for letting me into this tribe. I absolutely love it. And so with that, let's dive into some products. Today we're going to talk a couple of products, the probiotics. We're going to learn a little bit about bacteria, these things that we do everything in our power to get rid of on our outside of our body. But now we've come to realize they're our best friends and what we can do to protect them and make sure everything flows smoothly through our body. And we're also going to end learning about the drops. So hold on to your hats and glasses. This is going to be a science ride like no other. We're going to have a lot of fun. So, Carlos, do you want to pull up the slides, or do you want me to do that?
Whatever works better for you.
Yeah, why don't you pull them up?
Got it.
And hopefully the background noise is limited. I'm sitting here at an airport, so hopefully it's not too bad for you guys. These people to the right and left of me are going to get a little unsolicited science education if they like it or not. So we'll dive right in. Which, by the way, I love the hat, Karina. You were one of the first to put on the camera, and I loved the little ears on the hat. You able to get it, Carlos, or do you want me to bring it up? All right, I'll just pull it up. Let me share it real quick.
Oh, I was talking without I was muted. Sorry. But,
That's all right. I got it right here.
you got it? Okay.
All right, you guys see this okay?
Yep. We can
All
see.
right, wonderful. So what we'll do is we're going to quickly go through these products here a little bit, uh, and I'm going to give you hopefully a little bit of a greater picture of why these products are so important. So we've heard of probiotics. Probiotics, these are the bacteria that live in our gut. Now, our gut is exceptionally complicated. In fact, if you were to add up all of the bacteria, you have about 10 times as many bacteria in your gut than you do cells of your human body. So if you were to break yourself down and it was a democracy, it would overwhelmingly vote for king bacteria versus king human cell. So we are way more bacteria than we even want to admit. And these bacteria we think are just kind of like along for the ride, when in actuality, over the course of life, we have formed a very symbiotic relationship with these bacteria. And it's not just one or two different species of bacteria, there's thousands of different species of bacteria. Some are good, some really help us with digestion, help us with our immune system. I'll give a few stories of the impact of them, but also some of them are bad. Some of them are linked to colon cancer, for example. And so nourishing that gut bacteria is incredibly important. And we need to make sure we are nourishing the right bacteria as well. So let's talk a little bit about this. First of all, this is an exceptionally clean product. There's no GMOs, gluten-free, and so forth. But let's talk in a little bit about why we need probiotics. One of my favorite stories, just this was kind of what started the probiotics space. It was about 25 years ago. There was a scientist, he had genetically identical mice. And so he fed them the exact same diet. And he noticed some of those mice were fat and some of the mice were skinny. Now they're genetically identical, they have the exact same DNA, And they have the exact same diet. Why are some fat and why are some skinny? And this puzzled him. And he couldn't figure it out until eventually he decided to do this like crazy experiment where he actually took out the bacteria in the stomach of the one mouse, of the fat mouse, and put it in the skinny mouse. And he took the bacteria out of the skinny mouse and put it in the fat mouse. And what happened is the fat mouse became skinny and the skinny mouse became fat. This opened up the world of like, oh my goodness, these bacteria are involved in our metabolism. They are involved in the rate at which we absorb calories out of food. And this just then continued to where we realized these bacteria make about 70% of our serotonin. That's the neuro signal that makes us feel happy. We realize that these bacteria, about 80% of our immune system lives in these bacteria. Our white blood cells do a great job, but the actual the actual bacteria do so much more. And so over this time, these bacteria, we are learning these uh, uh, flora, if you will, in our gut are so vital. And we are realizing they're also important on our skin. And then attributed in many ways to the acne is because it is a bad bacteria, because we've been washing away so much of the good bacteria, just allowed the bad bacteria to thrive. So we're learning more and more just how important it is for us to have a healthy ecosystem and a healthy symbiotic relationship with these bacteria that make us us. And what we have done here is we have given an incredible amount of probiotics, but also the combination of these probiotics. And what it is doing is we have done a deep dive into the types of probiotics that individuals are most depleted in. And we have utilized these in ratios to make sure that we are inoculating your body with the right ratio of those. Because our gut bacteria, it is a very sensitive, thousands of different species of different bacteria, and they're all working together in a very complicated ecosystem. It's like a rainforest, and so you want to be careful. You don't want to put too many, uh, leopards in the rainforest because then that will eat all your parrots. And so we need to make sure that we're not only putting the right or that we're putting the right species into this very complicated ecosystem, but that we're putting the right amounts. More isn't always better. If we put too many leopards in, we're going to be it's going to outcompete, it's going to eat all the parrots. And now we're going to be depleted in parrots and the problems that can arise from that. And so it's in this immense amount of study we put into making sure that we are utilizing the right amount and the right ratio of all of these healthy, good bacteria to make sure that we are inoculating our gut rainforest, if you will, the right way to keeping that very delicate ecosystem balanced. But in addition to that, we're also providing what is called this prebiotic inulin at the bottom here. You can see this. This is actually the food that these bacteria feed off of. So what we're doing is we are not only providing the species that are so critical for maintaining good health, we're also laying the groundwork to giving them the food to live off of. And with this, we are able to give an immense amount of huge benefits, improving of digestion, better absorption of nutrients, and helping to support your immune system and so forth. This is the power of applying the true science to extract what potential nature has to offer. And I want to again stress more isn't better. When we interpret our intestinal flora as a very delicate ecosystem, like a very diverse garden, if we plant too many of one species in that garden, it prevents others from being able to grow. And so, in this, the real intellectual property behind this product is not only the species that are involved, but the dosages of those species and the ratios of them to really make sure that we are allowing a very fertile environment for our gut bacteria to thrive. And this is the power of this probiotics uh, product. And so I hope you guys enjoy it. We absolutely love it at our house. It is really a really powerful, great product. Now, moving on, this product is absolutely amazing. So I'm going to give you guys a little science lesson here about humans. We have this beautiful thing at the front of our brain, right, or the front right here. It's called our prefrontal cortex. It sits right at the where the forehead is. And that part of the brain is involved in executive function. It's involved in creativity. It allows us to find patterns in our environment so that we can kind of predict the future, right? So, for example, uh, I have no way to know what the future holds, but I know if I punch the big guy sitting next to me, he will likely punch me back. It's this part of the brain that helps me understand that. Based upon what I have seen, what I do, it gives me the ability to kind of predict the future and assess the situation. And this part, that prefrontal cortex, it's largely unique to humans. It's where our creativity lives. It's where our humor lives. It's where our connection with other people lives. It's more or less our personality. Now, deep inside, in the center of the brain, is a part called the amygdala. The amygdala is also called the reptilian brain. It's called the reptilian brain because everything from reptiles up to us have it. And it's the part of the brain that's involved in instincts. So if you've been walking around your house and your significant other jumps out from behind the door and scares you, and you just instinctually jump, the reason you instinctually jump and don't think, should I jump away? You just do it. It's because your amygdala took over. You reacted out of instinct. And so, what this is that is also called the fight or flight response. It's activating that amygdala. It's where it bypasses that prefrontal cortex and you act out of instinct. And so, they call it the reptilian part of the brain because it's that brain really that all animals have in common. And it's why no matter what the animal is, when they get scared, they run away. They're not thinking. And so the problem in today's world is because we are in a position of high stress, whether it be social media, whether it be bills, whether it be taxes or children, homework, traffic, that consistent stress in our environment causes us to not utilize this prefrontal cortex. It's causing us to bypass it to where we are acting out of instinct rather than actually responding to the world in front of us. And when that amygdala is activated, your body initiates a cortisol. That cortisol floods through your body. And it's called the stress hormone. And that cortisol causes a wave of different things. One, because we're making cortisol, we make less estrogen or testosterone. So we make less stress or we make less sex hormones. So menopause becomes more difficult if you're a woman. Uh, if you're a man, you'll find yourself not being able to maintain muscle mass and gaining weight. It's because your body is choosing to make cortisol rather than testosterone and or estrogen. Additionally, as that cortisol comes through, it actually initiates what are called the hunger hormones, ghrelin, which causes us to be hungry. Now, specifically hungry for things that are exceptionally high in calories and low in nutrients, specifically sugars. Because your body is in this fight or flight situation. It's not planning for the future. It's planning for give me as much energy as possible to get out of this situation. It's an instinct. And that cortisol is a big reason why so many of us are struggling with hormone irregularities or weight gain. And it's because we have this undertow of stress constantly pulling at us. Now, we may think we're special, but believe it or not, this is also the reason why some animals don't mate in captivity because when they are at the zoo, it's too stressful of a situation. Their body is making cortisol rather than the estrogen or testosterone. And so they don't mate. And sadly, we have put ourselves not necessarily in a physical captivity, but we've put ourselves in a mental captivity. And it is the same impact on us. And so what these drops do is it utilizes powerful botanicals that we can take both before our meals as well as before we go to bed uh, that help our body better respond to the stress. It helps as these different stressors come into our life to not initiate a stress response. So it kind of armors us up to prevent, the traffic, the kids, troubles at school, the bills from initiating a stress response. It doesn't take the stress away. It just helps our body better respond to it. And so what happens is we are not utilizing that amygdala as much anymore. We're utilizing that front part of our brain that prefrontal cortex more, which now we're less likely to give way to cravings. We are actually able to have better relationships with people. We have better connection with people. Humor, creativity begin to flow again. And that's the power of these drops. And so when people are taking these drops, they find that their appetite goes down. They find themselves uh, having a smoother transition with their hormones during menopause because they're making more estrogen. Or for men, they find themselves, oh my goodness, I find more energy. I'm able to retain muscle better. And it's not an actual hormone supplement. You're not giving yourself testosterone or estrogen. Really, what you're doing is you're just removing the influence the environment is having on you from being more or less being held captive. And that is so powerful. So you can take these products. There's two products in this. The pre-meal, you take it about 10 minutes before your meal. And the reason that you do about 10 minutes before the meal is you are kind of when you are most vulnerable to that stress during a meal, you're able to be in a position to exercise the willpower that you want, to where you're like, hey, the I'm actually not really needing that dessert. I really don't want that dessert. And it's not activating that amygdala. You're using that prefrontal cortex part of your brain and you're rationally thinking, am I hungry? Well, no. Okay, well, I don't need the dessert. And additionally, you'll find yourself being able to have better control during those meals. And then the next is you take it about 2 hours before you go to bed. And the reason you do this before you go to bed is that during that time, sleep is critical to maximize your body's stress response the next day. And so this helps you have a better night of sleep and helps we kind of reset that metabolism while you're sleeping. One of my favorite studies showed individuals who have just 6 hours of sleep a night. Um, what they did is they had individuals who had a full night's sleep and individuals that had about an hour or two less than a full night's sleep. And they all had them in a big meeting the next morning, and in the back they had fruit or pastries. The people who had a full night's sleep ended up eating the fruit. The people who had a poor night's sleep ended up eating the pastries. And what this shows is that a bad night's sleep leads to poor food choices the following day. And so by taking this night product, you're able to get higher quality sleep, which then enables us to have better uh, self-control the next day as well. And we keep stapling this on to where now we have a better night's sleep. We take also the product before the meals. We're exercising that. And this is why people see such tremendous results with this product. Now, in addition to this, as I said before, we're helping with cortisol and helping with ghrelin and leptin, the hormone that helps us feel full. When we pull cortisol out of this, we're more sensitive to leptin, the hormone that tells us we're full, and we are less likely to make more ghrelin, the hormone that tells us we're hungry. But we're wanting to get to that root of the cause, which means stress. We need our body to better respond to that stress. But it just doesn't stop at what we eat. These, the impact that that has on us is seen throughout our body. In fact, scientists today believe that stress is one of the leading factors of aging, that it causes us to age. And that's the impact of stress on our body over time that causes our immune system to fail, that causes our memory to lapse. And so, what we can do to kind of safeguard our bodies to the overwhelming amount of stress that we have in our lives is critical. Utilizing these drops, I think, is the first step. Others, meditating, focusing on or doing journaling. There's so many different activities in company to accompany these drops to really help your body better respond to stress. Go for a daily walk. All of these things can be very, very powerful. And with this, what happens is you'll find yourself to be happier. And in turn, you're also losing weight. And a big reason that I came to Partner Co. is my philosophy with supplementation. I guess the best way to look at it is clothes. During the winter time when it's cold, you'll put on a jacket. During the summertime when it's hot, we'll put on a tank top. We're the same person, but our environment's changed, and we need to supplement with different clothes depending on the season we're in. And supplementation is meant to help us best adapt to the environment that we are in. And we are needing a supplementation for the amount of stress our body is under more than ever before. We're seeing it in our children, we're seeing it in our young adults, we're seeing it in our adults. And it is considered to be the number one health risk of this generation. And this product helps us. And we see this across so many different areas of our life. And so I really want to encourage you guys to utilize this product, take this product, embrace this product. It is absolutely my favorite. And when I think of Partner Co, of really kind of getting to the root cause of why we are struggling, they have provided that solution with these drops. It simply helps our body respond to the new season of the world we live in today, where we are all under stress. And it gets to that root cause. And we are supplementing our bodies to help shield against it. All right. Hopefully, you guys learned a little bit something today. Absolutely love speaking with you all. And let me know, Carlos, if there's any questions or anything that we want to address. I have about 5 more minutes before I have to jump on my plane.
Thank you very much, Dr. Plant. Let me see if there is any question over here. Pero a mí me parece que, bueno, aquí lo pusieron y efectivamente, Lili, efectivamente muy interesante cuál fue la perspectiva de cómo lo abordó para que pudiéramos explicarlo y entenderlo. Muchísimas gracias, creo que estuvo genial, genial. Todos aquí amamos las gotas. I think that was great. Thank you very much, Dr. Plan. I think it was an amazing way to address our products. I think here's a question. I think buen viaje. I think everything is great. So I think it was great. Thank you very much for sharing.
All right, wonderful. Well, I'll be happy to jump on again for you guys as much as possible. I really want to get down to Mexico City. It's one of the best cities in the world. If you guys hold an event, I'll be sure to throw my name in the mix to come down and speak to you all. I absolutely love it. So keep up the great work.
And we'll have some Mexican food for sure together.
All
Muchísimas
right.
gracias al doctor Plant. Creo que lo dijeron por aquí. Fue una maravillosa forma de aterrizar los productos, de dirigir la información muy valiosa. Esto me encantó. Esto de no dormir bien y la prueba que se hizo, ¿no? Respecto de quienes eligieron la fruta versus los que eligen las galletas. Qué interesante esto, cómo funciona nuestro cerebro. Cosas maravillosas. Y bueno, nosotros aquí tenemos precisamente estos ingredientes que ayudan. Muchísimas gracias nuevamente al doctor Plant. Y muchas gracias a todos ustedes por acompañarnos esta noche. Estoy seguro que esta información les va a aportar muchísimo valor y como les dijimos el día lunes, cosas muy interesantes pasarán en este próximo Black Friday. Mientras tanto, recuerden que mañana tenemos Hot Sale. Tengan una extraordinaria noche y que Dios me los bendiga. Thank you very much again, Dr. Plant. Have a good night and safe travels, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Muchas gracias a todos. Que tengan muy linda noche. Cuídense mucho.